Okay, so we're getting finished getting started. I'm going to put up my computer screen. That's what I'm doing right now before we get started. We got a couple minutes here because usually it takes a little bit for people to come in here. Okay, so I got my chat set up here. Okay, so we're going to get started here, and I'm just using a little cup here today, right like this. And I'm just going to hold this down, and I'm going to use it for a circle and trace around it just like this. And so, okay, so I'm going to just, I think I'm just going to do gradual little things on both sides like this. Oh, that's perfect. That's perfect. Okay, so I'm just going to move it a little bit like this in this direction. I'm just tracing around the edge of the cup and then putting it up off here into the center. Just like that. Okay, so this is what we have right now. That looks pretty cool. That is really cool. Now I think what I'm seeing that I want to do is I want to start with it kind of like, I want to do the same thing. I'm just going to eyeball it and make a little dot right here and a little dot right here. And so I'm going to just start, let's see here, I'm going to just start right about here. And I'm going to go from this dot around to this dot. I could be ruining this completely, I don't know. But I'm just going to give it a shot here and see how it works. And, okay, so I'm just kind of aligning them up a little bit like this. Now I'm going to move it down a little bit further from the line that I just made. I'm going to make maybe about 4 of them and then see what we got there. Okay, so I'm going to move it down a little bit further like this. Oh, hello. Okay, I just happened to see you guys here. King Hamoud and the Ogs, OGS. I'm drawing. Do you guys see what I'm drawing here? I'm just doodling. And it's kind of like a spirograph, sort of. But I'm just using a cup. I don't have a spirograph, but I'm just using this cup and doing some artwork like this. And I just thought that would be kind of fun to do today. Okay, so now I'm just going to take and, oh, I want to kind of go maybe about right here, something like this, and go across this direction. And then I want to align it right about there, right about here, I think. That's a little bit off, but that's going to have to be okay because I've already done it now, haven't I? Right about there like that, because it doesn't have to be perfect. And so then I'm going to make kind of an eye shape right about here like this. And then I want to do the same thing. I could just leave that one. Actually, I think I'm just going to leave that one right like that. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to make a little dot like this right here on the inside. And I'm going to color this part in. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then I'm just going to make lines around in this direction like that. Just freehand. I'm not using my cup. I can use it if I want to, but I don't have to. There. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to turn this around and do the same thing. And I'm just going to make a little, kind of a little moon shape, a half moon shape right here like this. Does anyone have any questions? Baseball 3055555555. You wrote a whole bunch of fives. That equals 40. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fives. Is that right? That's what it looks like. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 5 times 8 equals 40. Is that what you're getting at, maybe? I'm not sure. I mean, because that's kind of how I like to do math. I'm someone who will count on my fingers and toes for multiplication if I have to. Okay, so I'm going to flip it this direction. And I believe that what I want to do is kind of go through here. Like this. Now I'm going to flip it this direction. And I'm going to draw some lines. Any other questions? Anyone have any questions or something they'd like to talk about? We can talk about some things while we're live streaming. I think this is kind of more fun doing something that is, you know, that we can watch that is sort of cool like this. You know, when I put that up there like that, we got something kind of cool going on. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line around like this. So a lot of people who had anticipated big viewing parties today didn't get their viewing parties, is my understanding. So they're saying, oh, my audience left me, my audience left me. And so I don't know if they're, they might be the ones I think that are part of those networks and stuff. I'm not sure, because I've noticed that they kind of tend to run in cycles, and favor their own people. So I'm thinking someone might have hired and outsourced their people to do something else today. That's what I'm thinking. That's what I've noticed. And so when they expect their audience to show up to their videos, and then they don't. And so, and you can tell the frustration. I think they're part of the email group listing thing, and I think they're also the ones who have hired people to do their tasks and things for them. Because you can really tell their frustration when the people don't show up to do the tasks for them that they paid them to do. Well, then it's that thing of like, well, gosh, why in the world did I waste my money with them? I shouldn't have done that. You know, that it's paying for a service, you know, so you give someone money to do a service. Well, it's the same thing as when you give a lawyer money to do a service and then he doesn't do the service for you and he just ends up, you know, kind of like he didn't fully finish the case is what it seemed like. And I was kind of thinking that with, you know, there's a lot of things that have not been done wholeheartedly and just leave people hanging in society. You know, and I always say, well, no wonder people are upset and mad, because they're inflation and the government is the people who is the problem. And so, okay. Oh my goodness, look what we did right there. We did kind of some little eyes. You know what I'm going to do? Because I kind of like the theme we got going on here. We do have kind of a fun little theme going on. Let me take, and this is what I'm going to do. I think what I'm going to do is some squiggly lines like this, some curly Q lines, and take them out like this, and make kind of a, yeah, and then we're going to do this, and draw some, oh, that's kind of fun. And I'm going to do the same thing out this direction, and draw some curly Q lines like this. Yeah, that looks pretty good like that. And then we're going to stop right about here and draw a little ball on the end. And so we've got a little creature-like thing going on here. How long have I been on here? Oh, 13 minutes. That's not too bad. I did something really quick and easy. And, I mean, there's a lot of different ways that I can make things with lines. Let's see if I wanted to... I'm not even sure that I want to do anything else. I kind of feel like I do, just a little bit. I think what I want to do is kind of just a little bit of a squiggly line like this. I'm just wanting to make it thicker, wanting to make it a little bit thicker like this. There, I think I like that a lot better. And I'm going to do the same thing around here. I'm going to take it on around like this and put it down here like that. Oh, yeah, I like that. And I could probably even, well, let's see how I could pull this off. If I wanted to make it so it had a tongue hanging out or something, or that's what I'm thinking. It's, I don't know, or I can just leave it like that and not ruin it any further. That's what I'm kind of thinking, is to just leave it like this and not ruin it any further. And then maybe do another video in a little bit and add some color to it. That's what I'm thinking. And then I can make a cubism. Maybe that's what I'll do, a cubism. I think that's where I'm going to end it at. So unless you guys have something you want to talk about and write in the comment section, um, I think this is where I'm going to end it at right now. But this is what we've got with our little creature here. And so we'll see you guys in a little bit. And I'll be posting up some more shorts. That's what you guys like watching is shorts right now. So that's what I've been posting up is a lot of shorts. And music videos. Oh my gosh, I hope you guys are watching my music videos. I have loads and loads of fun making my music videos. And, they're quick and easy to make too. And like, my gosh, never in a million years could I have imagined our technology has advanced so much to be able to do what it does to help me making music videos. Oh my goodness. And then they're funny too. And it starts to, I mean, AI starts to really, really understand what I'm asking it to do. And I can't believe that. I mean, because it's just so, um, it understands better than human beings do, which is funny. AI listens a lot better than human beings do. That's what I'm thinking. So 5 eights or 8 fives. That's kind of interesting. You write that number down. You wrote down 8 fives. There could be a former significant person who might understand what that means. He's going to have to do better than this. Much better. But he's done. That's my understanding. That's what they said. He's done and forgotten about everything anyway, so. Oh, and I just watched this video of this woman. She's crying on camera because she said they're taking her SNAP benefits away. And there's a stupid guy. It's so annoying because of the fact that um, he he's making fun of her, and it's like it, it just never ceases to amaze me how men can have so little compassion towards women who have kids to feed and just need to take care of themselves. And so they lack complete empathy and compassion, unless they've actually been homeless their own self. But they lack complete empathy and compassion for another person related to their circumstances, or just a person who needs to eat. And that's one of the things that I heard from my ex-husband was him, and he's like, "Oh, you can stand to miss a few meals. You don't look like you're starving to death." Well, I just want to honestly, there was times I felt like I wish that I was bigger than him so I could punch the living shit out of him, you know, because, when I heard that, it just pissed me off to no end for him to say that, because it's like, even a person who is 400 or 500 pounds needs to eat, and they're probably feeling hungry, even though the doctor will tell them, "Oh, just fast. You really don't need to eat." It's like, well, what kind of advice is that? Telling a person just to live off of the fat that they have on their body? That's not a healthy way either. And so we have a really very sick society within the medical industry and just within men in general, who I know they're told to go to work from the day they're born. So basically, plus we have inflation on top of it. And there's a big burden that is passed off to men. Now, there is another guy that I've been watching. Oh my gosh, I hope I can find him, because I want to highlight some of the things that he has said, oh my gosh, this guy right here talking, I think, oh, he's not live. Thought he was live. He puts, where are the jobs, Trump? Where are the jobs? That's what he's asking for. So finally, I am hearing from men who are asking where the jobs are at. Because all I was hearing before was from a liberal side, and they were talking about how all these jobs existed. Now I'm hearing from a conservative side that's asking about where all these jobs are at. Now oh, wait, I just saw the guy. This guy says he's priced out of life. I think I've said something similar before my own self, priced out of life. The house hunting bubble isn't a bubble, and why 90% of Americans will be, what is 90% of Americans will be stuck renting? They're not, they're going to be stuck homeless. He doesn't even understand that aspect yet. They're going to be stuck homeless because they just keep raising the price of rent. And so he goes by Large Man Abroad. He posted that 2 hours ago. This other man posted 4 hours ago. He's asking, where are the jobs, Trump? And so if you guys wonder why some of us are political and go into that realm all the time, this is the reason why. Because unless you've ever been homeless your own self, you don't understand, and you've been taken care of. And and that's a lot of these affluent people who have ties to banks, who have ties to brokerage companies, and ties to legacy media, which those are the people living in the great big mansions. And they're just very arrogant because of the fact that they don't want to listen. And they're just like, oh, well, YouTube should work if we do this, this, and this, and this equation. YouTube should work. It's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe it should work, but if we're not getting paid, you make it work by yourself, because I'm just going to go into it half-assed some days. Maybe some days I'll put in more effort than what I really should for someone who's not being paid. And then other days I'll go into it half-assed. Other days I might go into it quarter-assed. Some days three-quarter-assed, just depending on my mood. Because what I'm doing then is making YouTube work for someone else, not for me, for someone else. And that's what, a lot of times that's what this is making it work for someone else, because they've got a great big nice drawing channel and I don't. I can just do a little bit at a time and, try to figure out how things are working and hope that what I'm doing this time could have a broader reach than what I did the last time. Because I've never been a part of a network before. And I've never had any kind of privilege before, even though I've been accused of having a privilege. I just don't. I've never had a privilege, ever. And it's frustrating to be accused of having a privilege that I don't have and that I've never had. The privilege of poverty, is that a privilege that they talk about? You talk about redlining white people. I mean, maybe we should go down that direction, redlining white people. I mean, because if others can say it, if the activism groups can say it that are organized, why can't white people say, well, why are we being redlined? Why can't we afford a house too? So, I mean, if you use the same dialogue that someone else uses, then it kind of cancels out their argument that discrimination is taking place. Because if it truly is happening to you, which it is, it's a fact, it is, then it's not discrimination now, is it? It's inflation. They're missing the point. The Democrats are missing the point every time because it's inflation happening. It's not discrimination. It's inflation. And unless they change their dialogue, they're never going to be in the position to get things that they want. Well, someone had mentioned something about Jesse Jackson. I think it was Joe Biden yesterday, because Joe Biden got some humanitarian award for all the black people that he'd appointed into political positions. And so they awarded him some civil rights humanitarian award of some sort or something like that. Now, when the man spoke, there's nothing wrong with that man. I think he was faking his illness because he just wanted out of a toxic, he said he didn't want to appoint Ketanji Brown Jackson. I heard him say that. He said he didn't want to appoint her, but he had to for some reason. And so maybe he was following his oath to the Democrats. That's the only thing I could conclude. He was following an oath to the Democrats to, but now he even said what was it? He said something else yesterday about, if they listen to his words closely, he said something in his speech. I would have to listen to it again. And it struck me. I can't exactly remember what it was, but it was alluding to, including all people. So he had something in there about including all people. And so, I mean, so the presidents, they say things so skillfully and tactfully, more so than I do. I just can't do it. I'm in media. I really don't have to. So, I'm more blunt. The president, he, he can't be as blunt as I can be. Maybe he can now that he's a former president. Now, if he wanted to alienate himself away from, uh, certain things, he probably could, but right now Trump, on the other hand, wait a minute, he just goes off on his own diatribe, and he is not skillful about anything. The man can't even talk. Joe Biden, he liked to talk, and he still talks very skillfully and poetically and with thought put into his words, as someone who wants to embrace everyone. Donald Trump, no, he doesn't want to. He just is not in things for himself. That's the only thing, he's in things for himself. So, yeah. And so it just seems like there's no way out. And I hate watching these videos. It's like, for me, I'm not, they're antagonistic, so when you've got these people about SNAP benefits, and some people getting them and others not, and then they get women crying on video because she's got kids and she can't make ends meet. They think that's funny. And you know what? The person who's watching the video of that woman, they're the first one who's going to be trying to find out where she's at so they can take advantage of her and exploit her into human trafficking, because now they're like, "Oh, we got you." It's that got you moment towards women. We're going to fuck you over big time. We got you because of the fact that this society is based off of money, and we're going to fuck that woman over now. That's the direction that's their sentiment. A lot of these men is, it's like, we want to take advantage of this woman because we know that she's got kids and she's got mouths to feed. Oh, you know what they tell her? You shouldn't have had the kids. That's what they're writing to her in the comment section, is, you should not have had the kids. Now, we've all heard that. I've heard that even from my parents. Well, you should have thought about that before you had the kids. It's like, well, and the thing is, I threw it back in their face when I was an adult, because I said, well, look, what you guys, your dad wasn't even graduated from high school. When mom was pregnant with me, she was graduated at least, but dad wasn't. And so dad was a teen dad. He was a teen. But the ironic part about that is, they did stay married up until mom died. So they never divorced. And they were married a long, 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 long time. And so, so they were able to. So my dad and mom, both teen parents, actually beat the odds of teen parents with nowadays getting divorced, because that's become a popular trend. I actually think right now that television has a lot to do with that, probably. Television does. Now, church, on the other hand, is just as antagonistic. And the pastors, the only thing they want is people to go back to church to blindly give them money to support their church. Now, a lot of the pastors have taken out loans on their churches. And so they want the congregation to pay for the loan on their church. They can't just go bankrupt. And I mean, the thing is the bank will just take over their church. So if they actually did take a loan out on their church, they're just going to lose it, So they're a nonprofit, so they can't literally, what's the word I'm looking for? They can't literally go bankrupt, because they're supposed to be a nonprofit business. And so they're trying to find other ways to pay it back. Otherwise, they just lose their church. Well, the thing with that is, then the banks lose their means of money laundering, the corrupt ones. I'm not going to say all banks are corrupt. because if they get caught, then they're going to lose their business. So I'm thinking if you're a bank, if you're running a bank, you don't want to be one of those banks that's corrupt and laundering money, or a brokerage company and laundering money. I mean, that's the direction my brain always goes because that's what we've had on TV. So I've been influenced to pay attention to frauds, even though I can't predict all of the frauds, and I've been taken advantage of myself. I can't, I can't predict all of the frauds that will happen in life and how they will happen. I can't predict marriage frauds, and I can't say that I would be able to do that again in the future. I can't predict fraudulent attorneys who are going to take advantage of people, and you guys need to watch out for that, especially through the internet, fraudulent attorneys and fraudulent judges. Because it really does feel that way right now, that we have judges and a court system that may not actually be working for the American people, and there's something else going on, more sinister. But I'm not sure. But I do feel that people on the video, that's what they're saying, is they keep talking about, the auditors out of California that are Mexicans, the First Amendment auditors that are from Mexico, and they're running wild through California. They're like, well, we wanted to point out to you how things are not working, how things are not working for you, and you don't have any rights. And I don't know if they're doing that, saying that the illegal migrants don't have rights, or if it's the American citizens that don't have rights. Maybe their point is for other migrants to show them that they don't have rights. I mean, because the thing I always think about, it's like, well, why do you want to just purposely cause trouble for police officers, and or public officials? Now, they've said, some public officials have said, you can't record the police and you can't record buildings. That's not true. The police where I'm at, they allow it. They've allowed it. Now, I can understand. I'm even flexible to the point where I would say, if they told me that if there was something else going on and they actually asked us to put cameras away or something, if I felt a need to record them, I don't see what that would hurt. If they're asking politely and they're saying, and the camera's causing a disruption. But think about this. Look at how much police are on the media all the time anyway. And so I would say 99.99990% of the time, police don't care that you record them. So there's something about the auditors and the people on the internet that are causing trouble. I'm not sure what network they're out of, or if they're out of another country, or what they're doing, but there's something antagonistic, purposefully antagonistic about what they're doing. And they sort of have been coming back up again here lately for some reason, kind of on a smaller scale. There's not as many of them as what there was. So it seems like the ones who are doing all this antagonistic type of content are kind of withering down. They're withering down a lot right now. And so I'm getting more of a calmer, more peaceful and thoughtful people with the content creation right now, which is kind of nice, because that's kind of how the internet started. That it was just kind of over the years that it seemed like, well, when you look at MSNBC and look at what they did, that and The View and Disney. 2007 was when Elizabeth Hasselbeck and Rosie O'Donnell had that big old argument, and they got mad at each other, and they had a great big old meltdown on camera, and a great big old fight. And then they're like, well, where's the commercials? Where's the commercials? How come we haven't gone to commercial? And they didn't go to commercial. I don't know why they didn't go to commercial. Maybe they just didn't have, maybe the advertisers started pulling away from Disney from ABC back in 2007. Is that a possibility? Maybe someone else has some insight to that, related to the advertisers who maybe they pulled back away from them back then. I don't know. But in the meantime, they must have still been getting funded for them to keep putting the to keep putting the show on the air. An advertiser or somebody would have to sponsor them. Otherwise, they're not just going to put a show on the air just because. But right now, they're withering away. It's really kind of nice to watch them wither away because they're the past. And they have not been embracing or nice to people on the internet. That's one thing I will say is that the money people and the legacy media just have not been nice to the internet at all because they started off embracing the internet a little bit to the point where they thought, oh, well, we've got this figured out. We got this thing all figured out. And we are going to team up and we're going to gang bang on the internet and we're going to blame the internet for everything, which they already had been. They'd already been blaming the internet for everything anyway, talking about all these terrible things that are happening. And it's like, well, you guys didn't ever challenge money laundering. Legacy media never challenged money laundering through television and inflation through television. You never did. You just let it go. Hello, Katie Rains. GI. What, GI as in like, general issue? General issue, GI, like a GI Bill or a gastrointestinal. I'm not sure what you mean by GI. Um, I mean, there's so many things that letters can mean, isn't it? GI, GI, IG. Oh, gig, GIG, GIIG, gig. Yeah, that that would be a anagram, ambigram. I always say it wrong. I call it an anagram, which I think anagram might be uh something, I'm not sure, but it's a ambigram. Ambigrams are so much fun. I had so much fun making those today. I had a lot of fun making those. And it really just kind of burns up my whole afternoon too, making stuff and putting it on the internet, even though I'm not being paid. And I know what happened yesterday. This pastor got mad at me on his lives. Not the pastor, this other person did, and they're like, "Oh, well, you put too much thought into money." They said you put too much emphasis into money, and the pastor actually told me I was a miserable person for not believing in God. And I thought, why do you feel like you have to say something like that? You're presenting yourself as being, I'm not even sure what he was presenting himself. Oh, he calls himself a spiritual entertainer. And they told me I put too much emphasis into money. It's like, well, isn't that what the church, what this pastor is doing? Pastor fraud is what I want to call him. Pastor fraud. Because that's all he does is asks for money. And actually, the website he has linked is linked to a Catholic charity group. And when I look at the schools like that, the church schools like that, they're selling Catholic church, Catholic pastoral services is what they're selling. And so I thought, well, gosh, a lot of money laundering could take place that way too, and through the internet, through the Catholic charities and Catholic churches. And so he thinks he's got something special. And it's like, well, when I listen to him and what he talks about, he calls himself a spiritual entertainer. And it's like, and then he says, well, a real deacon is going to come in here today. And well, he said that I think yesterday or the day before, and there was no deacon that came in, unless he was talking about himself, because he says, well, I just come in here and entertain you guys, and then I go back to my real job on the weekends, which, but he said he has to hide out because he can't show his face as to who he really is because his church really wouldn't like it. So he sounds like either he is a former pastor or maybe a pastor or just a fraud pastor, something out of the entertainment industry. A fraud pastor is probably more like it. And because there's a lot of pastors on YouTube and they're all frauds. I mean, a lot of them are very, very angry and and we see the same thing on television too. A lot of pastors, and they always have a wife with them too. The majority of them have a wife with them performing their fraud that's taking place, and they feel like they have to resort to name calling. I mean, so I would have to say there's another side of antagonism out of the church groups, which I've noticed is a calm antagonism, calling people, like when they tell a person, oh, well, there's something wrong with you because you don't believe in God. And that's what he was doing to me. And I'd said it over and over again. And he said, I have a pathetic life. Well, have your pathetic life like that. And so he was saying that more and more to me. And it's like, okay, well, I just won't watch you anymore. I mean, he's the guy who has 1 million views, and his channel has been valid since 2007. And so he says now he's trying to make his YouTube channel monetizable, which is kind of funny. It's like, well, why all of a sudden are you making your YouTube channel monetizable when before in the past they'd always said that they weren't going to do that. They weren't going to monetize their channel because they're a nonprofit, and YouTube always had this thing about nonprofits. But I don't know, maybe I should end this now. It's gotten too long right now. But at least I had one person continue to watch through with me, and so we'll see you guys soon.